Hello and welcome to this session. In this session, we're going to be looking at how to subtract a subject from a background in Photoshop. So I need to bring in my image by heading to File, Open, and I will navigate to where my images are and select on any image of my choice. Next thing I need to make sure is that the layer where the image is unlocked. So I'll head to the Layers panel and click on the lock icon to unlock my layer. Next thing I need to do is to use the quick selection tool and then to make my selection. But before I would go ahead to make my selection, I would head to this panel over here to vary the size of my brush depending on the area on where I am going to be selecting. So I will start my selection from any point on my subject by left clicking on the mouse and painting over the area where I need to make my selection. So very quickly I will do that. So I need to be very careful not to go beyond the area where I am interested in selecting. So let's say as I was making my selection, I mistakenly added this region which is not wanted. I'll head to this panel and hit on the subtract from selection. So the same way I made my selection, I'll just left click on the mouse and drag this backwards. Now I can see that effect was too much. I'll head back to add selection and very carefully paint around the region. Okay, so the next step I need to do is to head to the refine edge, and under the refine edge I could just do a couple of things to fine-tune the edges of my selection or my image, and I will do that by clicking on the smart radius and increasing the size of the smart radius. So while I'm doing that, I'm also looking at the edges of my image. So the next option I need to vary is the adjust edge. So I will just shift the edge backwards a little bit. So you can see just by clicking and dragging, we are fine-tuning the selection or the edges of my images. So I would increase the contrast a little bit more like this, and then head to the output. The output that I want is a new layer. So I could select on any of these options: new layer with a layer mask, layer with new layer, right? So I would for this class I would select new layer with a layer mask and say OK. So this takes care of my background. So say for instance I need to clean up the edges a little bit more. I will zoom in to see if I have any artifacts around my image. So in this case, let's just brush these edges a little bit more to have a more sharp edge. So the thing I need to do is to take away the layer mask. I'll do that by clicking on the layer mask and deleting it. Before I will delete, I will have to apply the layer mask and then head to use the eraser tool. I can also decide to change the size of the eraser, and then I'll zoom in more, and very carefully I'll just clean off those extra edges that I don't need, just very faintly. So in very quick and easy steps, I have subtracted this subject from the background.